Well, if it isn't the spaceman with the future plan, what's going on?
Nothing much. How are you, Jedi? Said you're good? No, it's been a long few weeks.
You ain't kidding, buddy. You ain't kidding.
Some Valiander, Silver Dust, how are you guys?
Doing good, and you?
Yeah, doing well.
Staying busy?
Yes. It's an understatement.
I know
Um,
there's been a lot going on behind the scenes.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, um, but doing my best to manage it all, trying to help as many people as I can, as quickly as I can. And yeah, we're just gonna keep on keeping on. Looks like Val's being a little silent. Val, how are you doing, brother?
I'm in a car, and
Oh,
I'm worried that other drivers are going to be very loud.
no worries at all. Awesome. Oh, looks
Aren't
like
you
Val.
due to be hit by another hurricane,
Yes,
Spaceman?
yes.
They
So
just can't stay away from you this year.
I know it's ridiculous. Yeah, I got one of those like flood warnings that said, "Please evacuate the area immediately. Life-threatening floods are coming within the next 36 hours." So that's always a fun little notification to get on your phone. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys gotten those types of alerts on iPhone. Um, the noise that they choose, so like abrasive. Um, but yeah, we've taken the necessary precautions, taken some, taken everything down, uh, protected the windows, whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Well, good.
Poor Florida can't seem to catch a break.
no, no,
Hey, at
never.
least we can count votes.
True.
We got one thing going for us. We can count votes, but we can't catch a break on the weather.
That is true. When is that set to end? Tomorrow? The midterms?
The election already happened. We're now just waiting on the results.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm more referring to, the results. It's interesting. It's relatively close.
I think it's going to take. I don't think there's going to be a firm answer for weeks because Georgia is going to have a runoff. So control of the Senate will not be decided for a little while now.
Hmm. Okay. I wonder what impact this is going to have on the markets. It's going to have some impact, depending on which way it goes. But it'll be interesting to see. The markets in general are interesting, to say the least. It's it's been a hectic past couple of days. I don't think anybody expected some of the things that happened when it comes to FTX. I know I personally didn't. I looked at them as like this ultra successful behemoth that not wasn't not that they were too big to fail, more so that they seemed very successful. They were
Yeah.
bailing out other projects or other firms. Um, they were doing a lot for the ecosystem. I guess it just kind of came back to bite them.
Yeah,
Well,
didn't they
that
end up bailing out themselves at some point, and that was why Binance kind of rejected everything?
yeah.
Well, are you talking about Almeida?
I think I'm not sure which one it was.
Yeah, Almeida Research is owned by um, Sam Bankman-Fried, and I guess they did bail them out. It's interesting how they decided to do that, and then it ended up coming back to bite them if that is the case. What I don't understand is how you can have a liquidity issue or be in a liquidity crunch when you are a centralized exchange that doesn't offer lending outside of leverage trading. But that shouldn't be an issue. Like they make their money by collecting transaction fees, by collecting fees on leverage contracts. and by collecting spread. I don't like nowhere in there shows that there would be a potential for a liquidity issue. Yeah, it's odd. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't know why they're in that position, but we will see the effects of it and kind of where things end up over the next couple weeks. What
I know who was pretty blindsided by it. Tom Brady.
I've been mentioning Tom Brady for a while now in regards to it. His ad being, he did like an Instagram ad. I think it was for, I forget what it was for, either FTX or Crypto.com or something, as like the sign of that we were in a bubble. And it's just,
no, they were invested pretty heavily in it. I don't know if you knew that. So it wasn't just he wasn't just a spokesman. Like a significant portion of his personal wealth was in it.
Wow.
So, and that wealth already got split in half from the divorce. So that's it's gotta hurt a bit.
Yeah, I mean, he did get to play a game for his entire life and career, and then make a bunch of money doing it. I mean, I feel bad for him, but I don't feel that bad. He's had a pretty awesome life.
Yeah, I mean, he does have like 9 people blocking for him, so he doesn't get to get hurt that often.
Yeah, exactly.
So. All right, can you guys do me a favor and spam like you've done before and let people know that the AMA is in? I had started it a different way, so I'm not sure if everyone got the notifications or not. I'd appreciate it, and I figure we'll probably get started.
Fantastic. Yeah, sounds good.
I'm excited, so you guys will have to bear with me. Obviously, this is my first one, and Spaceman, usually takes the reign and does such a wonderful job. So big,
thank you.
Big shoes to fill. So, I just kind of wanted to go over, like Cosmo had mentioned, that we have a little bit of a different format as far as AMAs. Just basically under the new code of conduct, making sure that their AMAs are constructive, no raised voices or rants. It's meant to be a place of open discussion. So we're going to give people a chance to ask questions, of course, because I think that's everyone's favorite part of the AMAs in general. We are going to put a limit on those. That way it gives everyone a chance to be able to come up to the stage. And if everyone's finished and there's time at the end, then we'll let people who have already asked questions back up. Let's see. And then I think that, honestly, basically about 3 minutes for questions and then 2 minutes for follow-up, stuff like that. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out the code of conduct, it's in the announcements, and I believe it's pinned on Telegram as well. I figured I'll go ahead and get started and kind of give an update as far as the foundation and where we are with everything, and then I'll let Jedi kind of take over and we'll get to questions. Does that sound good with everybody?
Sounds great.
Perfect. So obviously we know that the 4 proposals in discourse at this time, and I love to see the engagement from the community. It is a bit of a learning curve as far as what is constructive, but hey, that's the part about the DAO is, being heard. It's the whole point, right? So we're working on the ones right now is to hire Jedi's team, the liquidity pool migration, and then improving the Lunar Improvement Protocol, so the LIP. Let's see. And then also we are looking at changing our governance community from discourse to circle. Just a lot more ease of use. Jedi's kind of gone over that. He can go over the technical parts, but basically it's more compatible and easier to kind of blend with other formats and programs and things like that is how I understood it. I'll let him spice that description up for you guys if you have questions. We have obviously set up Discord. We have done the mapping of the lunar crystals, which is amazing. So when our next votes go live, if you are holding a crystal, you will have that available for your vote count, which is pretty cool. Pretty proud of that. Jedi and Val worked on that together. Let's see. Asset transfer is I believe, did you guys just finish that, Val? Was that on the agenda
Yes.
for today?
Yeah, so that's wrapping up today. It might carry a little bit into tomorrow, which I believe is the last day. But the wallets, I think, were handled today. We're getting all of the accounts and files transferred, I think, are the last couple things. So, but
The
everything
little
is
last little details. No, it's awesome. You guys have been working hard. I know you guys have been a little, quieter, but I mean, there's so much in the background trying to get it done correctly and efficiently and making sure nothing gets missed. So we appreciate how hard you guys have been working.
Absolutely appreciate that.
The foundation has been interviewing legal counsel. We've had a couple of promising interviews with some really well-known people in the Web3 space. So we are convening on that and looking to see what's going to be the best fit for Lunar Foundation as far as, experience, references, checking all those, honestly, just, reviews and experience and having those conversations and asking those hard questions. That way we can have everyone's best interests at heart for that. We are obviously working on reestablishing weekly AMAs for everybody and publishing the progress reports for you guys every Monday. That way we can work on keeping you informed on what's happening, what information is out there, let's see. We are still reviewing the facility deal is still in progress, working on communication as far as that goes. And then we are working on an administrative budget to get published for you guys. So basically, just operating costs and stuff like that. So you guys know where things are going in general. Right now, since it's a transitional phase, there's stuff that kind of gets, I don't know, I guess we get kind of overwhelmed with the craziness of the markets. But if you guys could continue to, do the daily tasks, voting stuff up, voting secure, things like that, that would be amazing. We'd really appreciate that. And I think as far as Lunar Foundation, that kind of gives you an update of where we are right now. Jedi, did you have anything that you kind of wanted to add? Spaceman, anyone?
Not anything at the particular moment. I know that the focus in the next 24 hours is going to be on making sure that the proposals get adjusted and adapted so they can go up for a vote tomorrow. Transparently, the LIP proposal, and I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody about this yet, so this is probably news for the foundation as well, but I may not be able to be finished with the LIP proposal before it's able to go up for a vote this week. It may have to wait till next week. It's been a challenging week for me. So we'll see what we can do, but that's part of the discussion process. We wanted to be able to let you folks know that it needed to be done and that we're working on it. It may not be ready for the vote, but that's okay. I don't have anything else, I think, other than that we did get the crystals all done and that stuff updated. If you folks have questions about, why we want to move to Circle from Discourse when everybody else uses Discourse and stuff like that, happy to chat about it. We can get into that more later. Really just need these proposals to go through so that the technical team can get back to doing all the technical things that are required to help make this transition happen. So
That's much appreciated. So I guess we'll go ahead and get to questions. Let's see. Cosmo, where did you go?
Looks like he's in the audience. There we go.
There we go.
I can pop up here. Yeah.
Did you want to lead the charge for the questions?
Sure. Yeah, I'll pop into the AMA questions channel and see kind of what's in here. So on October 26th, someone asked, what's with the funds from NFT sale? Who are the new wallets that were airdropped 1% of supply each 6 days ago? Just some clarification on that, I think.
Yeah, I can talk to the I could talk to both of those. So I don't know exactly what you're asking in the first question, but the second question, who are the new
I think just to interpret it, I think they're asking what were the funds from the NFTs used for?
Yeah, so those were
we don't have.
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much everything can be tracked on chain, but broadly, development and exchange listings were the two largest ones, as well as just other general overhead, staff costs, and marketing costs. Like I've mentioned before, Mr. Moonshot and I decided to, back in, I believe it was February or March, to stop receiving pay because we saw what was happening with the markets, and we wanted to make sure that the project had as much cash as possible to continue on. But yeah, exchange listings are expensive. Development in general is typically one of the largest expenses in a company, and we have some pretty phenomenal developers on our team. And so, yeah, if you want to go and look back through the transactions on chain, you can see exactly where those funds were distributed. The second part of that question, who are the new wallets that were airdropped 1% of supply each 6 days ago? So as part of this transition process, we needed to separate out the 4% that Moonshot and I own from the supply, and this has been listed from the beginning. But we needed to separate those out into separate wallets so that we could transfer the rest of it over to the foundation. So that's why you saw that the wallets were airdropped. Well, it wasn't even airdropped. It was just sent 1% of the supply 6 days ago.
Fantastic. Also, everyone, if you have a question or want to speak, feel free to raise your hand. We'll bring you up. I see someone that raised their hand. Jack, I will bring you up to talk.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hello.
How's it going?
Good to hear everybody's voices. So I put some questions in the AMA chat, or the AMA questions channel, so I'm not going to repeat them. I'll just let Cosmo get to them eventually. But I just wanted to say good to hear you guys again, and glad you guys were able to keep this car on the road and, keep the project alive. And we've had some negativity, a lot of crazy stuff going lately, but there's a lot of us that appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing. Just wanted to let you know, man.
Really appreciate that, Jack. Thank you. I think, yeah, we could, Cosmo, if you're down, we can get to Jack's questions next while we have them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Jack, the first question you asked was, what can we learn from FTX? Shouldn't these issues be greater evidence that we need a company like Lunar to lead the crypto market? And then Tom Brady said, ouch. Yes, Tom Brady did say, ouch. I think there's lessons to learn off the bat, not even knowing exactly what happened behind the scenes. I think one lesson in particular that is not a fun lesson, but is just that in times like these, even the largest, most, at least from an external perspective, safest or most prominent, most established projects in the space are still at risk of falling like any other if they make poor decisions. And I think that a lot of stuff is going to come to light to see kind of how things were managed on their end. And it just kind of reinforces the fact that we have to, and now that we're all involved in this as a DAO, we have to make decisions that are truly in the best interest of this DAO and this organization. I think FTX, and this isn't confirmed yet, did some things that weren't really in the best interest of FTX, but were kind of in the best interest of SBF in companies that he had / funds that he had in other projects in the crypto space that he kind of wanted to approach with a savior complex and bail out. But it turned out to hurt FTX and hurt its users and its token holders. So us as a DAO, now that we're all involved in kind of the decision-making process, have to continue to do what we've done, which is make decisions in the best interest of the success of this thing and not the success of other projects or other kind of shiny objects. Because when things get rough, nobody's safe. But in terms of issues being greater evidence that we need a company like Lunar to lead the crypto market, I would say yes, we need more responsibility in this market. I think when we're in a bull market and everything's great and there's money flowing around like it's nobody's business, it masks over problems. And I might butcher this quote, but Warren Buffett, while I don't typically love his thoughts on crypto, he does have a great quote, which is essentially something to the effect of when the tides recede, you get to see who was swimming naked. And I think that is more true now than ever. And so I think overall, responsible decisions that are in the best interest of the project and the best interest of everybody involved are going to be the way to go. And I think we need more projects like this in the space. Because if we did from the beginning, we wouldn't have these things happen like Terra Luna, like Celsius, like Voyager. And I also think we need better regulation because regulators, while they have been active on things, they haven't done a great job of actually preventing the really bad things that have happened in this space. So, but I think we'll see that over time. And then, Jack, you also asked, you mentioned, Silverdust mentioned voting secure, but we don't have a CertiK audit now. Is there an audit that will be publicly available soon? Jedi, did we post the contract audit?
So a couple things on that I'd like to address. One, so voting is not on our contract. That's done through snapshot.org, and Snapshot, whenever you create a new vote, creates the contract and the infrastructure to handle that. So none of that's managed by us. That's all part of the Snapshot platform, and that's the platform we're using moving forward. In terms of contract audits, we've previously discussed in AMAs that CertiK's business model has changed, and they, instead of just being a straight contract audit, like, look, if you review, it's basically like you took a test, the teacher graded the test, you got a 94% on the test, but unless you pay the teacher $5 a day, then by the end of the quarter, your grade's going to go down. I'm sure that business model works for them, but we passed the test. And so the score should be the score, and that's it. So it's kind of affecting CertiK's credibility a little bit. And it's also an expensive process. So it's not something at this time that, from a technical standpoint, I would recommend that we do. To specifically be audited by CertiK. Clearly, that can go up for a vote, and if there's funds available, we can do it. Its value is marginal at best. We did have a very reputable individual who is an auditor that's on BNB's list of available auditors. It's the ones that they publish for people. I can tell you this person's, I know who they are. It's a very high person up within the ecosystems that we run in. And we did have an audit for that. I believe we shared that with the foundation. I don't know that the foundation has published it yet. So something that I would imagine the team can do at some point. I don't imagine it's been very high up on the priority list based on the other things we've had to do. However, I will say that we scored 99 out of 100% on that, and the guy doesn't give hundreds. So that ought to tell you something. He said in the contract, it was one of the best contracts that we've ever seen. The audit said that understanding the contract would be outside most people's capabilities because of the quality of the dev team. So you have this person's reviewed hundreds of contracts, and you have one of the best contracts ever reviewed by this guy, running Lunar token transactions. So it's something that my team is incredibly proud of. And you should be too.
That's amazing, Jedi. You're correct. It wasn't on the list, but we will get that shared for everybody and where you guys can read that because that's amazing, and especially in the world that it is today. So, I mean, round of applause to you for sure.
I agree with you on that. By the way, it's probably a waste of money with Certic if they've made that change. But it was something that was since she brought up voting secure, and I remember from before the DAO that we had the third party audit, and you guys, I think we're going to publish the results or something. So I was just curious if that was still going to happen.
I appreciate you keeping it top of mind for us. And like credit where credit is due, 99% of that work was, well, not 99, because I know there are a bunch of unit tests done by Sensei, but overwhelming majority of that work was done by Shepard, and over countless hours. I'm pretty sure he worked a 6-week work month in the last month to make sure that migration was flawless. So kudos to him, because there were a lot of sleepless nights and time away from his family to get that done.
Yeah,
I believe you guys did great on it. I just think, like, especially since we don't have a Certic audit, it would be good to make that information public, so that everybody has something to look at.
Absolutely. Thanks for the question, Jack. Appreciate you, and appreciated your support in all the different communities over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys' support too, man. That's all I got for now, though.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Somebody asks, how can I be whitelisted? I don't know exactly what you mean. There's no active whitelist going on. See, else ask contracts or ask questions. LNR new token address, please.
There's a question at the end about the roadmap we can go over.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Who wants to take that?
I can. So E asks question, initially there was a roadmap. Is this still current? If not, when can a new roadmap be expected? I'm looking forward to the app. So this ties a lot into some of the proposals that are up and everything else that's going on. So our team has been assisting wherever possible on the technical processes of migrating everything. There's been a lot of new systems that have to be set up. We spent a bunch of hours getting the NFT stuff tested. We had to write some code to get out the right data that we needed for the snapshot platform to be able to do what it needed to do. All that stuff takes time. And so the roadmap conceptually has not changed, but at least currently, but the time frames in which they're going to get done in have shifted back a little bit because it takes time to get my team rehired and back to work. So I'm operating, as a technical advisor to the foundation, but my team has not technically been employed by Lunar for over a month. So we get that squared away, we get back up and running, we get the roadmap back on track, and then the team, one of our first deliverables will be checking out what the updated roadmap needs to look like. So we are, hopefully we'll have more information on that soon. But as it stands, I've probably written 50,000 words over the last few months on what we want to build and how we're going to build it. And from my perspective, our strategy on that hasn't changed. Just a matter of being able to put the team back to work and get cranking on it. So if anybody else on the foundation has anything to add or anything like that.
Not for now. We're still working on, we were talking about getting some of the different assets transferred over once we have basically the information to get the socials updated. We'll get that taken care of and update the other things as well. Just in a little bit of a limbo. So we are working on it.
That we are. That we are.
Yeah.
Awesome. If you'd like, I can pull out more questions.
That would be amazing.
Awesome. So, question for the upcoming AMA: what can/will be done to prevent sale of tokens when the pink sale LP is added back? Mr. Moonshot mentioned in Telegram a few days back that he had a plan to discourage the selling of tokens. I don't think so. First of all, I want to address the fact that I don't think Moonshot's plan was to discourage the selling of tokens. Just want to be clear on that wordage exactly. But in terms of a strategy that will work best for within the considering all things that need to be considered, there is a draft proposal up on Discourse right now that details, I believe it's three or four different options for how that LP might be added back. And one of them is I believe a couple of them include a strategy where the LP is added back over a 30-day period in random intervals, and the only person who knows that schedule is also required to agree to not buy or sell any tokens or use that information to exploit it for personal gain. And so that way the LP, or that way adding the LP back couldn't be manipulated or exploited by anybody if they kind of knew the exact timing and amount of said action. So we definitely recommend you go and check out the draft proposal that's up in Discourse. I believe what is it called? It's adding something related to liquidity. I don't remember the name off the top of my head.
It's pretty sure it's liquidity pool migration. It's the first proposal up.
Yes. So Kyle Finn, go check out liquidity pool migration on Discourse. By the way, guys, I think it would be super helpful unless it's already in here, if we got some channels or something in Discord that has these links to like Snapshot and Discourse. I think that'd be really helpful for the community. That is just my suggestion. Do with it what you will. Awesome. So we have another question from Silverdust, actually. Does becoming a DAO affect our partnership with the Planetary Society? And that's from CG in Telegram. Yes, in that they are Lunar DeFi Inc. is a different entity than the DAO / the foundation. And so any partnership with the Planetary Society would need to be reinstated and worked out with them. They're super nice people. They love what we're doing. And so I don't think that there would be any particular issue with that. However, it does need to be kind of reinstated because they're different organizations entirely. What I will say is it also gives the DAO the opportunity to decide if that's still something that they want to do. So yes, that does affect things, but can be reinstated if the DAO decides. Awesome.
Just a heads up, we are putting in, we're building the different parts in here with Cosmo to give those links for everybody to make them a little bit more accessible. So that is in progress. You guys should see that hopefully soon.
Fantastic. Thank you, Silver.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I wanted to point out before we jump to another question in the AMA chat that there's a hand up in here.
Oh, awesome.
You got the plebe wants to chat.
Okay. I will add him up. Give me just a second. Is it pleb or plebe?
I think it's pleb.
I'm sure we're about to find out.
There we go. You're on. How are you today?
Am I live?
You are.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine. It is the pleb.
What can we do for you?
Oh, I had a question. um, maybe already addressed, not earlier today, but maybe in chat. I haven't seen it. As far as like, let's say the proposals that are up go through, like the adding, like the third option for the liquidity, where the that some of the liquidity is held back for expenses, or however you want to say that, and then we employ the dev team. What is the current what's the runway? I know that it's like super important to secure VC funding, but let's say taking that out of it without VC funding, what is the current projected runway with the daily volume that we have right now? Because I know that obviously income is from the tax, but how much runway do we have? I know you mentioned not taking you and Cosmo's salaries, so I'm just thinking, is there what is that?
Yeah, so I believe that's something the foundation will want to specifically calculate first before they give any sort of numbers related to it. It's a sticky conversation. But yes, funding is, in one way, shape, or form, is probably going to be needed to continue growth and continue development within the ecosystem. The volume in the DeFi market as a whole has dropped, I believe, over 90% since November. And so that funding stream has been significantly impacted. And so now we have to collectively assess other options and figure out how to bring more funds into the ecosystem to continue. The good news is that this structure is the most conducive to that, at least in my opinion, and the opinion of many others who know this topic very, very well. And so this was kind of a necessary step in getting there.
And just to remind you, there is the pleb there. When we had done the initial founding of the Lunar DAO, there was the list of the assets. So all of that is available. You just got to go in there and kind of do your own calculations and stuff too. So it's out there for you. You just got to find the information.
Well, I'm not concerned about the assets because I don't know how much you're spending. So assets, I can know
anything that hasn't been voted on. So all of the stuff is there. It's all public. So you have all of it. So it's easy to fix or easy to find out. We're trying to be as, I guess, open. I mean, we can't spend money without the DAO voting on it. So all of that is in there for you. So.
Okay. So the only money the DAO is going to spend is the $65K a month. That's it.
Well, there was also in the initial one, there was a budget proposal. So that's in there too. So anything that we have costs or anything like that, all of that is already voted on or it will be proposed to be voted on. So there's nothing like hidden being transacted or anything like that. It's all public and it's all stuff that's been approved by Lunar DAO.
Great. With the VC, what do you guys think most likely would be? I mean, I guess you're just projecting into the future, like a term would be. I mean, would a VC be getting like locked up Lunar tokens or something like that, where there's like a delayed hold or
anything as far as like the VC, which is not technically a VC, it's a facility deal. It would be anything, it would be brought up to terms as far as the DAO, and then the DAO would vote on that. So that would be all stuff that you guys would know of. None of that would be behind the scenes either. So it's all up to like the DAO and whatever proposals there are, and then information as far as that goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, I didn't know that there was a VC deal. What did you say it was called?
Facility deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing confirmed at the moment, but there are things in the works that might turn out to be great for everybody. So, but that's.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I didn't know that there was something in the works. So.
Yeah, nothing is confirmed, but yeah, we've been working very, very hard behind the scenes on all of the different kind of major things that need to happen. We're going to continue to do that and share information as soon as it becomes available for the DAO to discuss and vote on.
Cool. All right, great. I'll raise my hand again if I hear something comes to mind while I'm in here. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day, Pleb.
Sweet. Doesn't look like anybody else is raising their hand. But if you'd like, I can go back through the AMA questions channel and see if there's any other questions we can pull out.
Somebody else that just raised their hand.
Oh, sweet. Jack again. Awesome. Who wants to bring him up? I guess I can.
Hey, I just I forgot to last time to ask you, Space Man. Well, and it's good to hear your voice again. But how are you? How are you feeling about how everyone's treating your baby right now?
It's a mix of emotions. It's not. I would say less of like how people are treating my baby right now. It's while I have said that this is my baby, I still it's not like I feel a intense ownership over this thing, and I don't want everybody else to feel a part of it or feel like they are they feel like it's not like their baby as well. I think that this was actually really good to give people more insight into the process, just the ability to be more transparent with everything and give people the ability to kind of help steer the ship. But overall, it has been a wild mix of emotions. This stuff isn't easy. I mean, startups in general are not easy whatsoever. They are extremely painful. They are exhausting. And I personally have just been trying to do my absolute best to help as much as humanly possible where I can help. There's been a lot of things that we've had to work on over the past month or so, and not a lot of time to do it. And so I've just been kind of heads down, trying to drown out the emotions, trying to drown out everything else, and just execute. So I haven't really had the time to sit and think about how I personally feel. And honestly, it's not super. I don't feel like that's super important. This is everybody's thing. I want to make sure that I do my part in helping it become as successful as possible. And then once we're kind of through the thick of it, I can then go to my therapist and just lay it all out. But right now, I've built some very sturdy emotional walls around me, so I'm good. I appreciate you asking, though. Thank you.
That's awesome, man. Good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the same goes for everybody here, and I just want to compliment and give some appreciation to every single one of the directors, as well as Jedi, Cosmo, the rest of the team. They've been fantastic through this process. Everybody is working on all cylinders, and I wish that you guys just got to see the conversations and the way in which we talk about things and the way in which we have been kind of operating together. Everything and every single person that is involved, everything that we do is always in the best interest of the DAO and of the community. And that has never been a question. I haven't felt at any point through this process that people were prioritizing their own self-interest, which I think is really, really important in the kind of I don't want to say leaders, because the leaders are the DAO members. They are calling the shots. But in terms of the people who have been selected to execute these things on behalf of the DAO, it's really important that those people have the best interest of the DAO at heart, and I think that they absolutely do. So thank you, Val. Thank you, Silver. Rest of the directors. Thank you, Jedi. Thank you, Cosmo, and the rest of the team. You guys are awesome. Shepard as well is an absolute beast. Don't want to leave you out there. But yeah, the team that we have here is second to none. and the addition of the directors was just kind of bolstered our efforts and continued to expand this group of amazing humans that we have working on this. So I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, sir. Likewise.
Awesome.
Yes, you guys, it's been amazing. It definitely an interesting experience, but it's been really rewarding. And I think all of you guys that see us in and out of chats and stuff know how much we love Lunar and want everybody to be successful. And we're doing our best to support Lunar DAO in the way that we can, and enact the wishes and everything. So it's all love here.
Absolutely, 100%. Awesome. It doesn't look like anybody else is raising their hand right now. And let me check AMA questions. Okay, we do have one more question. Would you like me to read that out and try to answer it?
Yes, please.
Awesome. So from Wonderwood, he asks, will the unlock liquidity be added to the pool or used as or I'm assuming he's saying as a way to pay development. So that can be, or that is being discussed right now on discourse.org in our space. Do you have the link off the top of your head, Silver or Valiander? So I can just share it. I might be able to just paste it in here as well.
It's lunardao.discourse.group.
Okay. Yeah,
so discourse is spelled with that's DISCOURSE. I can
yep.
I can paste this in the chat.
Channel. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so I would definitely I would definitely recommend going and reading through that. There are a few different options that the authors have provided, and the post breaks down the pros and cons of each. So if you want to participate in that discussion, I believe that proposal is going to be put up for vote tomorrow. So definitely, if you want to participate, head over to Snapshot tomorrow once that's up and cast your vote. Awesome.
I just want to take a second and point out that the amount of effort that was required by the entire team to get these proposals written and adjusted and adapted and edited and revised, there was a significant amount of effort from the team to try to put all these things together and to have it explained in a simple, coherent way. Like the amount of information that we try to put out and the analysis that we provide and all of that, there's a considerable amount of conversation that takes place in order to make these things happen. And if you think about the amount of administrative overhead that's being added by the DAO process so everybody can stay involved, like it's going to take a concerted amount of effort, more so than this team has already executed extremely well in comparison to other projects, and to have to do the work additionally to put these proposals together and have them debated and to then adjust them and put them up for vote, like it's going to take a lot of work on this team's part to be able to still move as quickly as we did in the past and do this analysis work, cast these votes, run that process. And so I just want everybody to be aware, like while we're a DAO now and while we've moved to this structure, like there's only so many hours in a day and there's only so much team. And so if you think about how much work has to be done to stay at the same level of execution and the same time frame of execution, it's a considerably higher workload. So just be thinking about that as you're debating, discussing, commenting on these proposals, because everybody is fully focused on trying to do the very best thing for the community. So
100%. Thank you for adding that, Jedi. Doesn't look like there's any more questions in the AMA questions channel. Let me check the stage. Oh, looks like we have two people raising their hand. You guys want to bring them up? Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it takes a minute for it to work for me. How are you, Vorpal? Vorpal, how do you say it? Which way?
Uh,
You're still muted.
yeah, I think your mic is muted.
I keep
There
pressing
we
the
go.
button and it keeps popping off. Weird. Yeah, Vorpal, just like the word from the Jabberwocky poem. Nonsense word made up by Lewis Carroll back in the day. Thanks for having me up. Thanks for doing this, and I'm glad to see us attempting to do this more regularly. I think it's great. Just a couple things. One, I know we're sort of migrating, discourse, and that's all kind of up in the air, and as that process is occurring. I was wondering, is there any notion or idea of publishing a list of voting now that the snapshots have sort of been handled? Are we going to have a list of members and voting power, like a ranking? Is that something we want to do, or is something that's been considered? Sorry if that's been discussed before, but I wasn't aware of that.
I don't think it's something we've honestly really talked about. Is there a feeling behind wanting to have a ranking, or is it just to kind of have an idea of who has what? I know that some people on Snapchat, excuse me, Snapshot have listed their names for their wallets and things like that. But I think for the most part, it's going to be whether up to the discretion of the voter, whether or not they choose to identify themselves. But I know that the directors at least have put their names on wallets, and I believe some others have as well. So one of those kinds of things, leaving it as a choice.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can respect that, like leaving it as a choice. It just certainly is a little bit more occulted in that way. I mean, let's just call it not opaque, but certainly milky or less transparent. But I definitely respect that. I didn't know if that should be the default position, or if it's something that we should bring up as an idea.
Yeah, I can spout a little bit of my thoughts on that in particular. I definitely don't think we should try to make a list where we have everybody's name or username and their corresponding votes. It could be useful to have a list of the different wallets and what voting power they currently hold. There are a couple kind of logistical challenges with that. One is that list has to be constantly updated as people buy and sell tokens, as they transfer things to different wallets, as they buy and sell NFTs. And the other issue or challenge in the process is on the NFT side of things. The tokens are easy because you can just export all the holder data from BSC scan in like 1 or 2 clicks. But the NFTs, you can do a similar thing on BSC scan where you could download a list of the wallets that hold those NFTs, but the metadata is not, I don't believe, is on BSC scan, and so it would require some degree of development effort to compile that list and link everybody's voting, what would you say, voting power to each wallet address, and then link that up to the token holder list. I think what we're going to probably see is, or what is going to allow us to get a similar effect, is on these upcoming proposals. We will be able to see, out of those who are actively voting, who has kind of the largest voting power when the NFTs are now included. So we're going to get that to a certain extent. If the DAO decides that it wants to create a active or a live and active list and allocate funds towards and development time towards said thing, I'm sure that they can do that. But the DAO will have to vote on that as well. But yeah, I think it's more challenging and time consuming than it seems on the surface. And right now, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the directors, but we all have been prioritizing the things that are absolutely necessary. And so some of these other things have not been top of mind.
No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, I understand that from a developmental point of view. I think that, unless it's a voluntary reporting, I mean, it seems like if it's static, like the snapshot is static, or just somehow there's not a accurate real-time representation of the voting power of a member, and there's no accountability for it, and it's completely either voluntary, especially on the NFT side, then I think there's going to be some lag time in people like using voting power that they no longer have, or not being able to use voting power that they do have, unless somehow that's being updated frequently, or at least monthly,
So
or something.
I think I can answer. I think I understand now what you're getting at, and I think I can answer your question. So snapshot.org is a platform that helps governance by managing votes. And the reason it's called Snapshot is because when you go to put a proposal up for a vote, it takes a snapshot of the contract holdings and whatever they're called. Let me see. They have a specific name. They are called strategies, and whatever strategies are attached to that code. And a strategy is just JavaScript code that runs when somebody goes to vote. Whatever strategies are used to help calculate the size of their vote. Snapshot.org is responsible for maintaining that, and so like it takes snapshots of the blockchain that you're connected to, and when you go vote, if you go back and look at the 000 vote that we did, like you can see it has a snapshot number, and that snapshot number, when you go back into it, has everybody's balances at that time. And so the voting power is calculated in real time based on your holdings when you go to actually vote. And that's the list that's maintained in the voting process. Now, we don't have to do any development on that. We don't have to pay for that. We did have to configure the strategies and write some code to make sure that the metadata on the token was properly calculating the voting power on the NFTs. But in terms of like having a list where you can go see like my wallet as me and my voting power at the time, like I just wouldn't. That's be a fair amount of development effort for not necessarily a lot of output. Just in my personal view, when there are other ways that we can engage the community and try to get them more active. Just as an example, moving to Circle and having the Circle app on your phone, like when something's up for discussion or vote, you can get a notification on your phone. So you're not just going to be in the dark. You're not just going to be waiting for somebody to say something in Telegram. You'll be notified when something's going to happen. So hope that helps.
Okay, that's great. So I mean, the snapshot that'll handle that when there's a vote present, and then I guess the lag time will just be just in case anybody ever wanted to create a voting block, or at least like sort of negotiate terms, that would have to be on a voluntary basis. So that makes total sense, and I wouldn't want to kind of dox anybody or sell shame anyone or anything like that, but certainly having a bit of that information would be helpful in just negotiating proposals and how people might vote, lobbying for certain aspects of what DAO might do.
Yeah, so one of the things that's going to be possible when you log into Circle, if that passes, is we're going to write some extra code in the login process. So everybody was familiar with the NFTs. What not everybody's familiar with was how much of our global infrastructure we were actually testing with that NFT process. It was quite extensive. So anybody who bought an NFT already has a Lunar account, and you will be able to sign in to that Lunar account with your wallet through a technology called Sign In with Ethereum. And so using Auth0, which is our login provider, and Sign In with Ethereum, every time you log in, every time you log into Circle, it's going to check your balance and make sure that you have LNR in your wallet to be able to give you a role that specifies that you're a DAO member, because you have to have a balance in order to be able to be a member of the DAO. And so Snapshot keeps track of who logs in and votes, but the Circle community will have the tools for people to be able to have discussions about DAO matters outside of the generic development channel or the generic Telegram channels. And you'll know who's able to vote. And there's some work that we can potentially do to help link Snapshot and Circle together to help you see, like, maybe you can get a badge every time somebody votes on a proposal or stuff like that. So there's a number of things that we can do to help enable conversations while people are leveraging the platform to politic for their votes.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that sounds great, and I can see why that would be appealing. Sort of like the socialization and almost a gamification of like kind of involvement in the DAO, and that's a big deal for me, and I think that sounds great.
Yeah, we want people to have constructive, meaningful dialogue. We want people to understand what's going on. We want to be able to have meaningful discussions about this stuff, and it's a DAO, so people are going to be lobbying for something one way or the other. So Discourse is not a good platform for that at all. Circle is much better for being able to enable deeper, richer conversations, and it's far easier to manage. So I would highly recommend going and voting for that fourth proposal because I think it's going to provide a much better experience for everybody as the votes progress.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Looks like there's one other person raising their hand. If you want, I can. Oh, looks like you invited them. Sweet.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
We can hear you. How you doing? Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing-
I was just wanting to ask a question on the app. I was just wondering, it might have been asked before, but when's it coming out?
Yeah, Jedi, do you want to speak to that?
When's what coming out?
You said the app.
Oh, the app. So version 1 is out already. For those of you that may not know, the NFT minting platform was a significant test bed for a lot of the systems that have to be in place in order to be able to run your portfolio management. So interacting with your wallet, interacting with blockchains, being able to check balances and all of those things, provide real-time updates on how the transaction that you're about to achieve is going. Those were all done as a way to be able to test these systems without affecting the LNR token, because the LNR token was the most important part of the ecosystem. So now that we moved over to a DAO, we have a roadmap that we published a little while ago. The strategy remains the same right now, but the dates have shifted back slightly. I posted an article a couple weeks ago about my vision for how things should be moving forward.
Sorry,
if we can get
did you
back
say,
to work. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, did you say the beta app is already out?
So the NFT app was your first view of how the Lunar platform as a whole is going to work. And then the beta of the portfolio management system, I would still love to get out. I would say I'd love to have a beta in place for at least some people to start looking at early next year. But I mean, that all depends on the votes that are up and how long the process takes. Like, everybody needs to understand, like, right now with the proposal process, it takes 2 weeks to do anything. So voting on things is going to potentially slow down development. So the quickest way to make sure we get you guys a beta in the spring is to get us back to work.
Okay. And so also I just remember there was quite some time ago, maybe like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, that you guys had enough funds to get yourself through till halfway next year, I think it was. What changed there?
Yeah, so I can speak to that. So I believe you're referring to, there was one AMA where there was a question asked about runway, and there was some numbers given regarding like a set of months in terms of runway. Those were given with caveats surrounding them. I forget exactly what the caveats are. However, there were expenses that were involved in the process that the community kind of asked us to incur, and those were mainly exchange listings. And so exchange listings, if you guys don't know, are pretty expensive. They range anywhere from like 25,000 all the way up to ridiculous amounts like 500 grand, $1 million. And so we had a set of exchange listings that went live, and so a significant portion of the budget went there, as well as to development and other overhead. But yeah, the runway number was not given as if we were. It was not taking into account those exchange listings. Was not taking into account the drastic drop in volume that the market has experienced, and things of that nature.
Okay, yeah. All right, no, that's all good.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that number was announced something like 3 weeks before the market tanked, and then all the tokenomics of most crypto projects went to crap.
Oh, and that's true. It was all the funds were in BNB as well.
Yeah,
so that affected it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would not use that runway number from that one AMA as a guide. Yeah, things have changed, but we're collectively working on improving that as much as possible. And there are definitely avenues to do so. So that's good news. And the part of why this DAO transition made a lot of sense is it opens the ability to do that in a what would you say, easier and compliant manner.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's awesome. All right, thanks for that.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Doesn't look like there's anybody else raising their hand. And I think we got through all of the. Oh, we didn't. Root Fruit added a question. Silver, would you like me to ask this question?
Yes, please. I was just posting the audit link in main chat for everyone and pinning it. So I apologize. I was not in the AMA question area.
No worries. So Root Fruit asks, do we have anyone moderating the discourse pages to make sure it stays on track? I'll let the directors speak on that.
Yeah, so we periodically go in there and check it out and make sure that things are constructive. That was part of the getting the code of conduct. We're going to have one specific as far as, behavior in discourse and hopefully soon to be circle. And generally, like I said, the code of conduct was kind of something as far that needed to be established. It needs to be, constructive. It needs to be something that, fact-based instead of opinion, just those kind of situations. That's something that's kind of a grow as you learn. We're going to take some different examples from some other voting platforms and see how they've developed and kind of learned in that way. But we are working on that.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Jack added, I would assume part of that runway was shortened due to costs associated with the DAO setup, which unfortunately the team was able to set up far enough ahead of time to keep the project alive. Yeah, so that wasn't actually it wasn't a huge factor. It was it was a factor, but we managed to get it done for a lot less than Moonshot or I expected. And I think that's a testament to the work and effort that was put forth on both the end of the directors and our end to just make sure that we aren't unnecessarily constraining cash more than we need to. And yeah, like I mentioned, Moonshot and I decided not to take pay. So really, the funds have gone towards overhead, development, exchange listings, marketing, and the various other things. It's like we're not sitting here blowing cash and sitting in mansions and buying Lamborghinis and all of that stuff. Like Moonshot and I at least are of the mindset that we're not going to eat until everybody else is eating. And so, yeah, it's just things have changed with the market. We had to incur large expenses. And yeah, that's just kind of the cost of doing things nowadays. Awesome. Doesn't look like there's any other questions in the AMA questions channel. I don't see anybody raising their hand. So I'll kick it back over to the directors to see if you guys have any other things you wanted to add or even ask us. Silver, Val?
I am here. As far as, I mean, like I said, we're just continuing to work on things and get the discussions going and establishing the, basically the base of the foundation in so many words. Working on getting the transition situated. I mean, we just appreciate, you being there and answering those questions and helping through the transition and advising, and everyone's kind of working together to make this something even, the potential even more than what we could before, which is the goal. So we just appreciate you, and especially, Master Jedi and everyone working together in the community, being supportive through the transition and patient. And, it just makes me happy because the community for Lunar has always been my absolute favorite thing. And I just, it was the thing that fell in love with Lunar, and then, my AMAs, and that's kind of what brought me here. And yes, and just kept me here. So I just hope that the community can continue to be supportive and understanding, and, put in those ideas and constructive criticism and how we can just be better. So we just appreciate you guys.
Could not agree more. I think you said that very well, Silver. Yeah, ditto. I second that. Thank you guys for all of your patience. I haven't been as involved in the community as I have been in the past. I've been super heads down, focused on all the things that need to happen. I've also been trying to, what would you say, throughout this transition process, I didn't want it to kind of be, I wanted to do it right, and I didn't want people to still kind of be relying on Moonshot or I to serve as the figureheads of the community. And so I've been purposefully not as engaged in chats to allow the community kind of some time to adjust into this new structure. But I plan on stepping back in and being more involved as both a DAO member and an advisor to the foundation. But behind the scenes, I've been working tirelessly every day with these amazing folks, trying to get everything transitioned over and trying to help gear everything up for the next stage of Lunar's growth and continued success. So, yeah, thank you guys.
I think that pretty much wraps it up. It doesn't look like there's anything else. We ran over a little bit, but again, just want to thank you guys for your time and support, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and hit us up with those questions so we can get those prepared for you for next AMA, and look forward to talking to you guys again.
Fantastic.
And don't forget to vote tomorrow.
Yes, vote.
Yes. Silver, it looks like you were either kicked off or I don't know what happened. But just want to say, Silver, you crushed it. I know these were big shoes to fill. but you did a great job. And I think as this progresses, you're going to be better than I was at these things. So thank you. And yeah, great job. Awesome, guys. I'm going to hop off now and get back to it. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll see you guys in chats very, very soon. All right. I'm peacing out, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Easy, everybody.
See ya.